One of Michigan State University's well-known features is the Red Cedar River that flows through campus. The Red Cedar originates in Livingston County and flows all the way over to the Grand River in Lansing. At first glance, it may seem like this is your average river, but in reality, the Red Cedar has some serious pollution issues that have been affecting it for years. Heavy metals, industrial gas, waste, and even E. coli are all found in this seemingly normal river. This pollution has had detrimental effects on the ecosystem within the river, and the river is unable to be safely used for pretty much any recreational activities. It's widely known to the residents of the river's surrounding cities, including East Lansing, that the Red Cedar is simply dirty. Students at Michigan State are well aware of the fact that you cannot swim in or drink from this river because it's highly polluted. In order to get some insight into how the students in East Lansing view the river, I interviewed Jack Gibson, a current junior at Michigan State.
Yeah, I've been coming to state since I was a little kid with my parents and whatnot. I don't know, yeah, the Red Cedar, I would never and have never touched it or been in it because it's kind of just been common knowledge that it's a little gross. I feel like it's kind of something that everyone's always known, or at least everyone I've always talked to knows that, not really a place you want to be.
It seems to be that there is a culture that exists on campus and in the cities surrounding the Red Cedar where people feel that they don't need to take action to clean up the river. Out of every student I asked about the Red Cedar, they all knew that the pollution problem existed, but none of them believed that anything is really being done about it.
Yeah, I feel like I've also never really seen or heard of anyone doing anything about it, really. There very well could be, but nothing that I've ever heard of or seen any direct action.
In an article published in February of 2016, Ingham County Drain Commissioner Pat Lindemann claimed to have a plan to clean up the Red Cedar, which involved creating a park that would naturally filter toxins and pollutants out of the river. However, 6 years later, there are still elevated levels of heavy metals, chemicals, and E. coli in the Red Cedar. Elevated levels of E. coli have been a problem in the Red Cedar for a very long time. In fact, I found an article from 1952 titled "A Biological and Chemical Survey of the Red Cedar River in the Vicinity of Williamston, Michigan," which details how researchers discovered high levels of this dangerous bacteria in the river. In order to get more input into the issue of E. coli in the river, I interviewed Alex Pasciuto, a pre-med student at Michigan State who conducted a sample study on the Red Cedar.
So in my bio class last year, we tested the reason for why the E. coli levels were rising in the Red Cedar River, and we thought it could have been because of the Potter Park Zoo. So we tested a downstream sample compared to an upstream sample at the Potter Park Zoo and realized it's the same amount of colonies. I think it was 18 in the upstream and 18 colonies in the downstream.
I then asked Alex what health implications elevated E. coli levels can have.
So the rivers, you can't swim in it, you can't go in it because the E. coli, it has negative health effects like diarrhea and just you can get sick from it.
To further investigate the possible cultural issue regarding pollution in the river, I asked what his view of the river was before conducting this experiment for class.
Yeah, coming in as a freshman, you always hear that the Red Cedar is really dirty and not to go in it, but I don't think people know exactly why.
E. coli pollution is theorized to be the result of fecal matter runoff from sewage and animal waste, and the health effects of being exposed to E. coli can be quite severe. Interviewee Alex Pasciuto mentioned that E. coli exposure can cause sickness, but that is simply an understatement. In the 1952 article mentioned earlier, the researchers stated that their reason for conducting studies on the Red Cedar was because of E. coli-related deaths that were being reported at the time. There are many variants of E. coli. Some rare strains have been found to cause kidney failure and possibly death. However, exposure to the more common strains is likely to cause gastrointestinal issues, which can lead to bloody stool, diarrhea, and severe cramps. Runoff from animal waste at the Potter Park Zoo has been suspected as the cause of elevated E. coli levels. However, this is heavily disputed because of multiple studies coming up with contradicting results. However, one article from 2012 titled "Fecal Matters" concluded that the Potter Park Zoo is most likely the culprit in the case of elevated E. coli levels. It seems that the main issue here is that pinpointing the main cause of this bacteria pollution is very difficult, and as a result, it's hard to actually do anything about the issue. Another pollutant in the Red Cedar that is seemingly invisible is heavy metal pollution. Zinc, copper, chromium, and cyanides are all pollutant metals that have adverse effects on watersheds, and these pollutants are often found to be the result of industrial waste and runoff. A 1974 article titled The Effects of Heavy Metals on Species Composition in a Warm Water Stream discussed studies done using the Red Cedar as an example watershed. The researchers tested the Red Cedar for heavy metals such as the ones previously listed, and they did conclude that there is absolutely elevated levels of those metals in the river. They also concluded that heavy metal pollution has a direct impact on the ecosystem within a watershed. The researchers stated that if there is a low species diversity but high individual populations, then heavy metal pollution is likely to be the cause, and this species distribution was exactly what they found in the Red Cedar. After viewing this article, it's clear that this pollution issue is not only a matter of public health, but it also must be viewed through the lens of environmental sustainability. After viewing several articles and doing extensive research, it's very clear that the Red Cedar is plagued with pollution and has been for many years. The cultural issue present is also very apparent, as so little is being done by students and residents of East Lansing and other surrounding cities to fix this issue and clean up the river. However, it does seem that some students do want the Red Cedar to be restored.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be cleaned up. I think that would be really good for the school, really good for the community in general. I think it'd be nice to have, the river that we put all of this emphasis on actually be, presentable or something we can